Welcome to Monarchist Minute. I'm your host, William Stout, here with Vice Chancellor Clements Magnolia and our ideology co-chair, Georges P. And tonight we have two guests from the Radical Monarchist organization, General Max, who hails from Greece, and Prussian Mad Lad. How are you, gentlemen?
I'm doing well, thank you very much, and thank you for having us on. It's a great honor to be here.
Good to see y'all.
Yes, thank you for accepting us here, and yeah, I feel pretty good.
So, gentlemen, first thing I'd like to start off with this is tell us a little bit about who you are and your organization. Let our audience get to know you.
Oh, so should I go first?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure it's okay with General Max. So I'm new to Mad Lad. I also go by the pen name Cian Gray on Substack, and I am the founding members of the Radical Monarchists movement. Now, to give as brief of a description as possible of this movement, the Radical Monarchists are radical in the sense that we are extremists. We're by radical, that means we're radical in the sense that we are thorough in diving into important issues. We're radical in the sense our thoroughness in diving into the fundamentals of monarchy and the essence of institutional monarchy, of what it is and what it's supposed to do. And in this thoroughness, we seek to provide clarity as to what monarchy is and what it does, to rectify any misconceptions about it, as well as to garner more and more support for our shared cause from monarchism.
General Max, and about you?
Well, I may not be a founding member, but I believe in the cause of that the radical monarchists are doing. It is also time to mention that I'm also the vice president of another organization called the Youth of Greek Royalists, and thanks to diplomatic measures, our organization and radical monarchists have been closed. So I try to help them as much as possible. I am also in the executive council currently, and yeah, we have involved ourselves in various situations throughout the world, etc.
That's very fascinating. So, I don't know if maybe you want to elaborate a little bit on the current situation of Greek monarchism, since we don't really hear about a lot from Greek monarchists.
Well, we are in this current situation that the current crown prince is well, the Greek government currently, well, let me start from the beginning. There is a current crisis that the crown prince has taken his Greek citizenship back, but due to current scandals, the government wants to take it back because he basically went to the crown prince went on a celebration in the village of Mani, and all the public officials referred to him as crown prince, your majesty, king, etc. So yeah, that has created a bit of a scandal because in the Department of Internal Affairs has been very clear about it. If you meet crown prince as a public official, you need to refer to him as either Pavlos or something else. You never refer to him as your majesty, crown prince, or king.
Because
so yeah, there is that. They want to take the citizenship back from the Greek royal family. And he polls show that there is a 30% upper rate of the monarchy. So there is that.
Well, if I may, and this is just me speculating on international law from what little I know, isn't it against international law to deprive someone of citizenship? Or I don't know exactly
You
how that works.
see, I
I
need to
don't think
dive
so.
no, I need to dive in a bit of history. So you see, in 1965, in Greece, when it was still a kingdom,
Hmm.
three colonels took over. They did a military coup, and they took over. The current king, the father of Prince Pavlos, King Constantine II, tried to ward them off. He did a counter coup that failed, and they had to exile him. After that, two referendums, one in 1973 and one in 1974, which both were to depose of the monarchy. They both succeeded in deposing the monarchy. And for a long period of time, the king and his family were not allowed to return to Greece. I think they allowed them to return sometime in the early 90s. I don't remember. But still then they were not allowed to take back their citizenship, and they were not allowed to live in the old palace, the Tatoi estate.
So, where do they live now? Like, where are they living in exile?
Where do they live now? Well, the crown prince has purchased an apartment in Athens, for all I know, to come in celebrations and other gatherings, but uh, their main estate is in London.
Hmm.
He doesn't live in Greece permanently, but his brother, Prince Nicholas, Crown Prince Nicholas, does live in Greece permanently. He has also purchased an estate, and yeah.
And if I recall, one of the princes, I think it's the grandson of the current crown prince, is currently studying in New York City. I
Indeed,
might
he
be.
has, but he's about to be called on because, first of all, if they do not take his citizenship back, in Greece, it's the military. You need to serve the country for at least a year. It's They enforce it. So if they don't take his citizenship back, um, he will have to serve in the Greek military, which is a big thing. Everyone is talking about it, etc. He has been the only date that has been given is August. That's when he will be called on.
I didn't realize Greece still had compulsory military service.
Yes, we have. We are one of the few countries in NATO that has.
More countries
Based.
honestly probably should have some form of compulsory military service, but that's a tangent for another time.
Yes, yes.
Mhm. Well, thank you, General Max, for sharing that little bit of a tidbit. Prussian Madman, anything you'd like to add?
Uh, no, I have nothing to add. Are there, unless if like you have any questions for me?
I don't. Do any of my co-hosts have anything? Because I'll be honest, I've been kind of hogging the airtime right now.
How's your exploration of Hegel going?
Oh yeah. Okay. So how do I put this?
And here starts the
The
ideological scale.
yeah,
It's
I've
philosophy, not ideology.
that's
Right, my
okay.
bad.
So basically, here I've got some notes here. So let me pull them up quickly. Uh, let's see. Hey, uh, logos. Sorry for the delay here. So, uh, wait. All right. So basically, what I'm currently working on is creating this political philosophy which basically take the Hegelian dialectics and replace the Weltgeist with the logos, like the Peterson, like the way Jordan Peterson would define the logos as this philosophical idea, this living principle that manifests through truthful dialogue and ethical action. So I take that like that. So that concept of the logos would be replacing the Weltgeist, and so it's going to be like this logos dialectics of sorts, which would be like the foundation of my political philosophy, and that's my greatest. That's my largest political project thus far, my philosophical project thus far, and of course the logos dialectics is only a part of it because there are other parts as well, such as the Platonic theory, like the Platonic theory of the soul, where you have like three parts of the human soul. But I will take that and apply and use that as a theory about the collective soul or the collective consciousness of the nation. So it's going to be like the Platonic theory of the soul of the nation, and combining that with Robert Michels's ideas of the iron law of oligarchy and Bonapartism and what he calls the psychological metamorphosis of leaders, and how leaders would undergo the psychological process through like the Nietzschean will to power and so on that separates them from the rest of the masses, and that also plays into my Platonic theory of the societal soul. So all that is going to be combined with the Hegelian slash logos dialectics. So it's a huge project with all these interconnected parts.
Oh yeah, no, you were making a huge philosophical system and framework. Like just a quick question about the logos dialectic. Would you describe it as like, and along with the collective unconscious, like, are you putting that more onto like the Jungianness of like Jordan Peterson, or would you like attribute that to like being like almost a Kantian Hegelian synthesis with the moral imperative?
That's a good question. I haven't quite figured out if it's going to be one or the other, but it's definitely going to have Petersonian slash Hegelian elements to it, but I'm not sure like which part is going to be like the prevailing view. I haven't quite figured that out yet, and it's going to take like a long time.
No,
on my end.
I can't wait to read it.
The only
Thank
thing
you.
I have to comment is I hope someday I have enough free time that I can be well read enough to actually understand anything of what just transpired.
It's just like it's like talking to a Marxist, right? Marxists have their own weird language. Philosophers, if you're actually engaging with philosophy, like end up having their own weird language where there's all the buzzwords that you pick up, and then you start understanding each other a lot more clearly.
I know, it's just like I need to do reading, but I don't have enough time to get any of this reading done. It's really tragic.
You gotta just find the short books. Like Byung-Chul Han is my go-to because most of his books are only 50 pages. They're not even really books, but they are dense with information.
Say, last futurist, would you say that we monarchists have a language of our own, much like the Marxists do, or is it just us radical monarchists?
I'd say like it's less of like the monarchists versus the Marxists, like because most Marxists are just befuddled philosophers anyway. I'm gonna be honest, like they're philosophers who don't understand philosophy.
So that's pretty ironic.
Yes, that's ironic.
Yeah, but like it's so the monarchists I think are developing an online and just social linguistics in general. But what I was more referring to there, just like between philosopher, like when you start reading into Hegel, you start reading into Nietzsche, you start reading into Jung, Peterson, Zizek, whoever, you start picking up little tidbits.
That you basically summarize like my current, like you basically summarize my journey in political philosophy. It's just this never-ending rabbit hole where I go deeper and deeper into like elite theory, Robert Michels, Georges Sorel, Hegel, Peterson, etc. It's just a never-ending hole.
Yeah, and you end up picking up little tidbits, and at some point you're speaking another language, and when you start talking about this to someone else, and they just look at you funny, and you're like, "Oh, am I that far gone?"
Yeah, I think I've reached that point. Do you think I've reached that point?
And yeah, no, as soon as you start like actually approaching Hegel and like trying to engage with either Hegel, Heidegger, or like Nietzsche in a serious way, like you go far. You're too far gone. You're no longer completely a man.
I see.
It's over for you.
So in other words, if I immerse myself deep enough in in German philosophy and in the works of those German thinkers, then I've gone real far off the deep end.
Yeah, like it doesn't even matter what perspective you're coming from anymore. If you throw in like the French sociologists too, then you are like officially have gone mad. Like you have, it's time to lock you up in the straitjacket, buddy. And I'm saying this referentially to myself. Like,
well, look, that describes me like to an extent because and speaking of French sociology, I do have like one of Emile Durkheim's books.
Yeah, Durkheim's a great one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, great guy. Yeah.
All I know, when you mentioned French sociology, I got a little scared because all I know is what comes from 19th century French sociologists and like French philosophers is some of the most crazy shit you'll ever hear.
Oh yeah,
good old functionalism.
Marquis de Sade, one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind. The dude whose name is literally where we get the word sadism from.
I love how most of it is just like pornography interwoven with like liberal propaganda, and how he's like, oh yeah, this is so cool what the Jacobins are doing, and then just back to pornography. Like, well,
he was the original progressive degenerate, like the original like liberal sex pest or something like that, except he's really messed in the head.
I think it's a bit beyond sex pest. It's like kind of like calling D'Annunzio a sex pest. Like,
I know,
I think it's fair to say he was just a rapist.
I'm just trying to keep it somewhat clean.
And if it's mentioned in the Bible, it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I read the Old Testament as a kid, and I don't know if that influenced me for positive or negative.
Yeah. Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to just add an interesting, just like to add an observation that I've made about my work in developing not only the radical monarchist philosophy, but my own political philosophy as well. And I'd also like to thank Last Futurist for his contributions, for his help in the evolution of those political philosophies, because I've noticed that I've reached a point where I can be able to adopt this politically syncretic approach, to adopt ideas from both the left and the right, while at the same time maintaining a firm moral compass, because you want to make sure when you sift through these ideas, you separate the good from the bad. And now I've reached this point where, like, I'm able to compartmentalize the ideological baggage from ideas and concepts that will be very useful for the monarchist cause, like Vladimir Lenin's theory of vanguardism. I've incorporated his theory of vanguardism into the political strategy for the radical monarchists, and of course I took George Sorel's idea of the political myth. Like, so it was a French syndicalist, and his idea of a myth that would animate and mobilize a political movement. That has also been very useful, especially tackling divisions between monarchists, like on the national. Like, we need like Sorelian myth by monarchy internationally to rectify, or at least ameliorate, the tensions from what I call the monarchist Schaft. Sorry if I'm butchering the German there, but it's basically the national enmity, or the enmity between different nations, like different nationals. So anyway, sorry for going, but basically, I've just like looking back, I've been impressed by how we were able to adopt ideas from the left, and also ideas from like the far right. Like Robert Michels, like he was a social democrat, but then he later switched to Italian fascism for some reason. But It's just an observation, like as I look back at all the work research we've done. Sorry for the ramble.
No, you're fine. I just started like having to resist giggling because like the whole old Comintern quote of social democracy being the moderate wing of fascism.
Don't worry about rambling, Prussian. That's what we do here. This is the monarchist yap session.
Yeah.
Say whatever you like and be long-winded. We don't care.
Like you had a point to make and you made it, and it was a beautiful point.
Well, thank you.
Now, I heard a rumor that y'all have some interesting information on stuff going on in Nepal right now.
Oh boy, how do I explain this one? Okay.
Please.
Yeah. Okay, so here, let me. So basically,
Gotta get your notes.
Oh yeah, I've my notes. I prepared for this for this podcast, but I was treating this like a formal professional interview, but I didn't know there was just going to be an informal yap session. So frankly, I over prepared just a tad. But anyway, so about the stuff that's going on in Nepal, the Radical Monarchists are currently working with someone who works for the Nepalese Royal Family's PR team. So we're working with a contact of contacts, and this guy, his name is R Nepal, like this. That's his username, and he is taking the initiative, like with the blessings of the PR team, to organize an online group of Nepalese monarchists, like Nepalese monarchists who live overseas, and to get them to organize and to reach out to the Nepalese that live in their country, to organize to help restore the monarchy, and to help bring to and also spread the word like beyond Nepal's borders, to help people internationally become more and more aware of the situation in that country and why it really needs a monarchy. And so we Rad Mons have been playing a part in that social media campaign. We've been making video edits. In fact, we had someone from Society of Augustus recently to come on over to help us make our latest video edit. And we've also been publishing articles on that. I've published like 4 articles on Nepal.
4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5. So, and from what I've heard, we've been gaining quite a bit of traction, particularly among the overseas Nepalese on Facebook, because from what our Nepal told us, a lot of overseas Nepalese people tend to use Facebook, so that's like an ideal place to build up an audience.
Well, that's very interesting. I have to say, I like the fact that there's a monarchist community out here that's reliably making edits and videos, because that's something we in MOA struggle with, because we don't exactly have a lot of people who are good at like editing content and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's like our we have like an amazing crew. Not to like flex on you guys or anything, but we Rad Mons have like an amazing crew. We so far, like aside from the guy from the Society of Augustus who came over to
assist us.
To assist us. We had this other guy who was making videos for us. His name escapes me at the moment, but his contributions have been amazing. Like he's been churning out multiple videos to the point where he needed to take a break, and that's where the other guy had to step in. So, I mean, we've been like working our butts off to get our.
Continue your thought.
Oh no, that's. Also,
yeah.
Sorry, I have to stop myself before I go too far, like ramble too much.
Our strength has always seemed to be more written content than video based content. Like our social media posts seem to be the what gains us the most traction. Our Substack more of that written literary. I don't necessarily want to call our social media presence literary, but you know what I'm saying. Our main platform seems to be by the written word rather than by video content or anything. Not that we don't want to expand into videos, it's just that we don't have the talent.
Oh
Well,
yes.
that's why, if you want to speak Russian, okay.
Oh no, I'll let you go first.
All right. So that's why there are places like Radical Monarchism, because in Radical Monarchism we have various vanguards that have very people with various skills. And I remember every time that we have a problem with the youth of Greek royalists, always the Rad Mon leadership will say how we can help, what kind of people do you need with what skills, and they will send a guy over. So that's why it's important for monarchists all over the world to cooperate
I agree.
in making content.
And perhaps our organization should get better about that. You know,
We need a monarchist international. Or like international? Like Rad Mon's basically it, but like there is one.
That sounds so great, and yet at the same time so cursed.
Well, like I think that technically is the International Monarchist League.
I know, it's just when you hear the word international, there's one thing that immediately comes to mind in everyone's mind.
Yes.
Well, maybe we should change that perception.
I don't disagree. I just had to point that thought out. It's just on my mind, and I gotta let it out.
Right.
I also am like a bit Mark's brain, so like sometimes I use my old like leftist vernacular when I shouldn't.
Your brain is saturated with Marxian heresy. We gotta fix that.
Oh, anywho, the backtrack to the Nepal gentlemen. So, did they reach out to you, or did you contact them? How did that relationship start?
If I remember correctly, our chairman, Austerlitz, he reached out to our Nepal, and our Nepal joined us, and he showed us the people he was in contact with. He showed us like the receipts, so to speak, and he told us that he'll not only help us out with our movement, but he would also get a bunch of other Nepalese, a bunch of other guys that he knows, and invite them onto our server to organize a little vanguard of his own. And so he followed through. He invited a ton of people to where we went from like 200 to 230 people to like over 300 members on our server now.
Interesting. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you guys had to go through some kind of, or if you guys went through some kind of vetting process to make sure this dude was legitimate and he wasn't just some random weirdo.
Whenever we invite new people onto our server, we have like a vetting process of our own, and again, he showed us the receipts, like they showed us the people he's in contact with, and he seems legit.
Right, and we do the same, but a lot of times, especially when it comes to like deposed or defunct royalty, it's sometimes very hard to find ways to verify that.
Oh yeah, it can be tricky at times, and you have these people, these what you call royalty fleas. Like there's that. I mean, but yeah, you can't be too careful with these things. So
you also have like hucksters, like the Manchuria temporary government, and like those types who claim to represent the Isengoro clan.
Once upon a time, early in Moa's history, we got into contact.
Yeah, you go on. Well, sorry.
You were saying something, Clements?
Oh, I was to say that the Manchurian the Manchurian government is literally just a front by a bunch of Japanese people, anyways.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was going on a story very early in Moa's history. I can't remember how many years ago this was. We were contacted by this random dude who claimed to be French nobility, like a French dude. He said he was from Brittany, like that peninsula in northern France.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Normandy, yeah.
It's been so long, I don't remember the dude's name, but he was such a challenge to verify. We could not figure out if this dude was just crazy, if he was a scam artist, or if he was legitimate. It was just hard. It's definitely a learning curve figuring out how to verify these things.
Yes, we have encountered similar things. Well, at least I have. Like about 2 days ago, a guy came over and said that he was a descendant of a Byzantine dynasty and that he wants our support. And again, we could not verify his claim.
Ah, yes, very easy to verify back there. Just got to go back to the 10. Just got to go back to the 1200s.
Like, like his entire family tree, and he was saying, "Go on, search up all that." And I'm like, no, just
I mean,
no.
it's hilarious because it's much easier to actually prove my personal royal heritage because you can literally look me up in the Encyclopedia de Gotha.
Yeah, like if you're already a descendant of a noble, there's gonna be some record out there that's kind of easily accessible. Like
yeah, and you would know that.
To be a pretender for a Byzantine emperor, that's just absurd. I mean, that's like claiming to be a pretender for Charlemagne.
Oh,
I am the heir to Charlemagne. Yes.
It's like you've gone back so far that everyone and their brother is related to the dude. You're not special.
Genghis Khan claimant joins monarchist service.
Pretty much half the world population can be a claimant. Like,
yeah, they can all be the Khan of Khans.
We are all the Khan of... Huey Long, is that you?
It's like that meme about people being descended from Muhammad, and then you have the actual Islamic theologian come in and said, it's like, those are called Sayyids, and there's like 10, 20 million of them. It's not a big deal.
Turns out populations grow, and a lot of people are have like a common ancestor if you go far back enough. Like, aren't we all like 33rd cousins?
I don't know, but that reminds me of a funny thought experiment I had at work. And, I was thinking about how people always joke and make fun of monarchy for being incestual. And so I made the counter argument. I said, when you think about it, the average noble family is probably less inbred than the average peasant would have been in the time period where monarchies were common, because at least the nobles were able to track their genealogy and know how closely they were related to everyone else.
Unless you're a virgin.
Probably didn't.
True.
But if you lived in a village of 200 people that stayed consistently around the population of 200 people for like the past 500 years, you probably married your cousin at some point.
Bro, you just gave me a lot to think.
Oh no, it got even more messed up because then I went a step further and said, Americans really shouldn't even be making that comment because Americans are probably a lot more closely related than we to admit. And
Sweet home Alabama.
Well, the reason I deduced this is because I took the average Puritan family, the average American frontier family. Now, the main difference between the average American farming family compared to its European counterpart is due to the less dense population. There is less chance of diseases spreading, and therefore there is an extremely low child mortality rate, despite the fact that America was less developed than their European counterparts. So, all these families that we hear of back in the old pioneer days of having 10, 12 kids, overwhelmingly in most of those households, all those kids made it to adulthood. If not, it was only like 1 or 2 passing away. Compared to Europe, where it was possible that half could. Now,
holy crap.
Take this into account and recognize that most people went west with only their immediate family. Their spouse, maybe their parents, and their kids. If that. And so, within 2 to 3 generations, most people on the American frontier probably wouldn't have known their aunts, uncles, or grandparents because they would have never met them. Now, those kids would end up being pioneers themselves and going even further west. And so the likelihood is that there's a lot more cases where people ended up meeting their second or third cousins without knowing they were their second and third cousins. Now, how many
Yes.
of those second and third cousins then ended up getting together? That's my thought experiment.
I don't know what to say. Yeah, I was trying so hard to follow, but I've got like a lot on my mind. Plus, I am a bit tired, so I'm sorry if I saw that I can't add anything to that subject.
American Zwoda.
This is okay. So while you guys are debating Hegel and everything, this is the kind of thoughts that come to me while working the assembly line at work. This is the kind of brain rot I keep myself occupied with, so I don't die of boredom in a factory.
How does it feel to be truly free?
Yeah, you know
Feels
what's
wonderful.
You know what, William? I think we're a kindred spirit because I too like have those deep thoughts whenever I'm at work, so that I too would not die from boredom. I mean,
I've fully embraced the whole Einstein logic of working a boring, dull, and menial job, so my mind is free to think about bigger things.
I
Yes,
kind of have that.
exactly.
Yeah, I kind of have that as well because I'm just a cashier. So for me, I also get to every once in a while to start thinking about stuff like that.
Boredom.
Although for me, it's more of me thinking about random. My mind's blanking out.
Lore?
Yeah, lore. Thank you.
It's like, I know you were thinking about the map, but I didn't know what word to jump on.
Yeah, thank you.
The map.
Yeah,
I just-
not even just that, just random stuff that my mind starts thinking about. Sometimes I'll just think about something completely utterly random, and I will be on that for like the entire shift, and then I'll drive home and I'll immediately forget the entirety of it, and I'll get really mad that I forgot it.
Oh
see?
yeah.
Yes.
My thing is, I come up with all my ideas for my Substack articles while I'm at work having these deep thoughts, and then I get home and I'm like, oh, I'm too tired to write.
Oh well, same here. Well, the first part, like about getting ideas for Substack articles while at work, I'm like that too. But the difference is that somehow, I don't know how this is humanly possible. I still find the energy to actually write the damn articles.
It doesn't help that I'm a part-time college student too, so a part of my energy is consumed with class after work.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
I burn my candle at both ends. I'm not afraid to admit it. If I had a third end to the candle, I'd probably figure out a way to burn it too.
You're burning your candle at both ends. Meanwhile, my brain is like a flamethrower, just burning it all in one end.
Back to the whole menial job.
Yeah.
And this is going to be my final thought for the evening because it's getting late, but I feel like we don't appreciate how much of a luxury being bored is in the 21st century. Because we are so overstimulated, we're so surrounded and submerged in content 24/7 that I don't think we can truly appreciate how nice it is to actually just be bored and go blank from time to time.
Well, that's interesting that you are mentioning this because before I came here, I scrolled a bit to my Instagram and basically saw this reel that said, I was born too late to explore the world. I was born too early to explore space. Born just in time for World War III.
Perfect.
No. And here's what I say. We're finally gonna get Fallout 5 because India and Pakistan are gonna go to war.
Yeah, but in real life, guys.
Okay,
Say,
my
William.
final schizo thought for the evening. I lied. I have one more schizo thought. If there is going to be a nuclear war, India Pakistan is the best possible scenario to have one.
Because it'll be
Because
more
it's-
localized.
Yeah, it'll be more localized. They have smaller arsenals, and
The ecological destruction wouldn't be as terrible as it could be.
You see, that's the worst situation to actually happen because after the nukes go off to each other, and after India and Pakistan are obliterated by nukes, then how will the world react to it? Especially the United States of America after the tariff war, India is the only place that actually spoke with Trump. So if Pakistan, let me give you an example. If, for example, India pushes into Pakistan with their army, Pakistan will respond by nuking them. And then India's allies will attack Pakistan, which will lead to either China being involved in the Kashmir region or an all-out war.
Well, I think like Donald Trump, when if India and Pakistan nuke each other, Donald Trump is going to look at them and be like, "Well, I guess I don't have to tariff those two countries."
And
Cross them off the list.
what you were saying, General Max, that is possibly the worst case scenario in a nuclear war between India and Pakistan, is that's if China decides to intervene. But even then, it'll still be somewhat contained because China has a defense-only nuclear policy. So they will only nuke someone if they're fired on first.
Well,
one thing worth mentioning about Pakistan's nuclear arsenal is they don't have silos. Those things are just out in the open. So if, let's just say Pakistan gets... I am serious. They move them around on trucks throughout the country. So I think everyone would freak out if Pakistan and India started nuking each other, because there'd probably be a couple of loose nuclear missiles just laying about throughout Pakistan as the command structure falls apart.
Yes.
And the last thing we want is for the Mujahideen or whatever it was to grab one of those.
It could be anyone. It could be the Naxalites.
And I'm Pakistan. And you're watching Jackass.
It's just bad. I don't want war there. I hope there is no war. I pray to God there is no war.
I hope there's no war either. I'm just saying, if there is going to be a nuclear war, this is perhaps the least disastrous one there could be.
Yeah. Imagine nuclear war without silos.
Yeah, it's just terrifying. Like, we're gonna live in an age where we just have like a couple of nukes unaccounted for.
No.
I mean, why do they not have silos though? They literally have mass amounts of desert and uninhabitable land that could easily put them there.
I think they just don't trust it. I don't know. I don't know what Pakistan's cooking.
I have a theory.
Wait a second. I think I have a reason.
Well,
normally, you would use a silo to justify having a big giant missile like an ICBM. But, India and Pakistan probably don't figure that they need such large missiles given how close they are to each other. So all their missiles are probably like, I don't know, the equivalent of Tomahawk cruise missiles or something. Things they know that all they need to do is just lob over the border.
Like they'll put them on trucks and fire them like one of the Stalin's organs from World War II. They just lob the nuclear missile on the truck. And
Turns out I was wrong. They have silos, but they move them on trucks daily, so they keep the nukes just cycling around.
Why?
I don't know. I don't think they want the Beluga
there.
I think they were trying to hide it from the Taliban, and they just kept it up because they have to deal with the Baluchistani terrorists and all the terrorist Pakistan funds, and then comes back across the border.
Yeah.
Now, here's my question. One final question. If a nuclear war would happen, do we think the Himalayas are high enough to stop the radiation from going over them, or no?
Well,
it would probably stop some of it, but who knows?
I hope it'll be high enough, and I also hope that the Nepalese will be able to survive long enough to restore their monarchy if a nuclear war happens. God forbid.
Dude, they're not gonna make it. They're not gonna. They're literally facing the Indian side. If that happens, they're dead.
Well, it's not like they're guaranteed dead, but also nukes have gotten clean. Actually, what kind of nukes are they using?
That's what I'm looking up right now. Most powerful Pakistani nuclear bomb.
If they're on H bombs, it should be clean, where the radiation isn't that big of an issue.
They said it's hard to deduce what the AI overview says. It's hard to deduce what the most powerful is. but their 1998 test has a yield ranging from 1 to 32 kilotons. So these are very, very small yield nuclear weapons. Like these are Hiroshima yield nuclear weapons. In fact, I don't even think these are.
Oh.
I don't even think these are hydrogen thermonuclear weapons.
Okay, so
That's good, right?
no, well,
Yeah.
kind of.
Good as in it won't be as much radiation being thrown into the atmosphere.
But the
Okay.
areas where the bombs
I can go
actually
with
are hit are totally gonna get fried.
Oh yeah. The areas they're going to hit are going to kill a lot of people just due to the population density of both countries.
India has thermonuclear weapons that are up to 200,000 kilotons, but I guess India, being the larger nation and being a rival to China, is expected to be a heavier hitter.
Yeah, they kind of have to then.
Now, here's my question. Do we think India and Pakistan are petty enough to use cobalt bombs?
Yes.
I would not be
Wait,
surprised if they are.
Yeah, no,
Well,
Okay,
man.
so if
let
they're
me
using
rephrase that.
cobalt
Wait,
bombs, then yeah,
Oh, sorry.
there's no future
wait.
for the Indian subcontinent if that happens. That's like
Wait,
500
wait.
years. Nobody's going to be able to live there.
Oh,
Well, you
what was the
see,
general
the
message?
thing is, yes, the thing is that if they get desperate, of course they're gonna use nuclear weapons. If they get desperate, now imagine the Indian army charging in Kashmir, breaking the Pakistani lines and chasing them all over to Islamabad. I think the capital of
Yeah.
Pakistan.
Yeah.
Yes, imagine chasing them right over there. Of course, the Pakistan president, prime minister, I don't know what they have.
I think it's military dictatorship over there.
Oh, okay.
I don't know anymore.
Of course,
Pakistani
the Pakistani side will launch nukes to stop the advancing Indians. Well, that sounded wrong, but you get the point.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the other way around, if somehow Pakistan manages to push off the Indians and go into their territory, of course they're going to launch nukes to stop the Pakistanis if they get desperate. Yes.
I see.
But in
Everything
the event of
aside,
one last
no,
thing,
no,
in
go
the
ahead.
event of a
Go ahead.
nuclear exchange, the rest of the world is going to react. Now, imagine how Putin is going to react when he sees that a person with no choice will have just launched nukes. He will think of his own situation.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
it would
it.
be a normalization of nuclear weapons on the global stage. Like if like
Exactly.
the Russian-Ukraine war was the first nail in the coffin of the neoliberal order, like that's gonna be thrown into the ground and dancing on its grave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Welcome
Say,
back, multipolarity.
I mean,
may
I
I
look
change
forward to
subjects briefly?
multipolarity, but I just hope that billions of people don't have to die in a nuclear holocaust in order to get that.
The end of a world order is never really peaceful or bloodless.
I know, but it's wishful thinking.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's part of a cycle where you switch from like one world order to the next, and it's just this ongoing cycle. Lady Fortuna just churns her wheel. Some rotations are faster than others, some rotations are smoother than others, but the wheel keeps on turning. So,
To quote
like for us
one of the
monarchists,
to quote a
it's
wise saying from one of the great enemies of monarchism, there are decades where nothing happens and weeks where decades happen.
well, exactly.
I read it off to the accursed share.
Yeah, and we monarchists, when we, as the circulation of elites and the circulation of world orders continues, as Lady Fortuna turns her wheel, we monarchists must adapt to the situation and figure out how to use those rotations to our advantage, so that we can restore the natural order, the monarchical order, an order that would be able to survive all those circulations. just as it has like for centuries prior, up until like the French Revolution, until Wilsonianism, where things have gone really off the deep end. But I digress.
Well, with that, unless anyone has any other final thoughts, I think we're at a good point to end the episode.
Well, I do have a final thought, if you don't mind.
Go on.
Well, earlier you mentioned that in today's society we're overstimulated and that we need boredom. I say that we need to find a balance. Like, I look at it from an Aristotelian perspective, like the Aristotelian view in which virtue is the median between two opposite extremes. So here in today's society, we face two opposite extremes: overstimulation and boredom. So we need to find the median between the two, where on one hand we get enough stimulation to keep us moving, but on the other hand we have like enough peace and quiet to decompress and to just take a step back. So we need a balance between the two. So those are my thoughts on that.
Yes.
With that in mind, would you care to join us in prayer?
Yes, sir. I'd be honored.
In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. On earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Heavenly Father, keep us safe and in good spirits until we meet again. Bless us in our endeavors and our mission to return monarchy and the natural order of government to mankind. And Lord, we pray for peace in India and Pakistan. May the bloodshed not come, and may we stave off total annihilation for the good of all mankind. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us this evening on Monarchist Minute. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to this on streaming services, hit follow to make sure you get notifications every time we get a new episode. Follow us on social media if you want to help out us. Join us on Discord, or get a hold of us via email or social media, and we can see how you can help out. Until then, also, before I forget, make sure to check out our friends at Radical Monarchists. Gentlemen, I don't know what all platforms you guys have, but if you can, send me some links, and I'll make sure to put it in the description for y'all.
Oh, I'd
All right.
be honored.
Anywho, but yeah, make sure to check them out. They're really cool gents too. But until next time, may God bless you. May God bless the United States of America. Thank you, and good night.